What is up, everyone? You are looking at a newly minted Limited Optics Master in USPSA. I did a classifier match this past May 13th, and after Wednesday's reclassification calculation happened, I am now currently the 5th highest ranked person in Limited Optics in USPSA. There are 2 GMs and several Masters. I am the 3rd highest ranked Master, and since I'm not a GM in any other division, I actually did have to classify over 85%. I was a GM in another division and I just shot the match, any classification score would get me Master, but I did get over 85%. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to do like a director's commentary on all the stages that I was able to record on Saturday. I'm going to show them in order so I can show you from beginning to end my match mentality of my Cobra ready, my actual make ready, my stage planning, and then how that affects going into the next stage and how I approach stages. So this will be a good insight on what I do and how I kind of actually shoot versus seeing just the actual Cobra ready and classifiers run. So let's get into it, and this is how I made Master in Limited Optics. So let's take a look at the 6 classifiers that I'll be shooting in the order that I would be doing them. The first one is a fixed time classifier, 6-notch each, reload, strong hand only, 1 shot each, then move to the next box, 6-notch each, reload, and then left hand only. And the next one's kind of unique where it's a table start, but it's actually from a box underneath the table, like a mini mart, which is why it's called mini mart. There's a mandatory reload, and then the next one is 3 strings with no reload at all. And then the next one after that is another table start with a mandatory reload. And then the last 2 that I would be doing are movement style. So this kind of takes care of a whole bunch of stuff. We have fixed time, we have multiple strings, you have table starts, and you have movement. So this is actually a very, very good classifier match where you see a lot of different kind of classifiers. So now one thing to note is that after I do my Cobra ready, you'll actually see that every time I pull out my gun, I always check to make sure it's clear. I never, ever pull the trigger without pulling the slide back to make sure it's around in the chamber, because there are times I've seen it happen where people have thought that their gun is clear because they've either made ready, put their holster back in, something happened where they had to put their hands up, reset the stage, then they pull out gun, and then they pull the trigger, bang, DQ, right there. So always, whenever your gun comes out of the holster, unless you are about to draw and shoot, always check your gun. So even though I joke around and do stuff, that's one of my make ready things that I always do is I check the gun first. So just finished the first string there. That was 2 shots each, then right hand only, 1 shot each, made it right under 7 seconds. This is now 2 shots each. Switch left hand, there's a 0.3 buffer on that as well. So you can go, I think, 7.3 seconds and not get any penalties. And this was the hardest classifier for the state or for the match. It's a fixed time one. 7 seconds. I wanted to see how he could do, and this is not how you want to start a classifier match with the 67 hit factor out of 120, which is like really bad B or mid B. So it was basically the warm up for the classifiers to come, and that was kind of my viewpoint going in it. One thing to note here is you'll see that I did catch that there was an extra hit that the RO did not see. So always verify your targets if possible, and that's why I also try and get everything on camera to make sure that if something is to be contested, I have evidence of something. Doesn't always happen, but I try to do it on these big little matches just in case, and didn't really help because still a 67 hit factor. So after last stage, just posting a mediocre B-class run, I went into this one thinking that this one's something that I could get a M or GM on. So this was going to be all in, hero or zero. It's basically 6 shots, reload 6 shots like El Presidente, which I've done many, many times. Plus the closest target's like, 6 feet or 8 feet away. It was really, really close. The one thing to note about the stage was it was actually set up incorrectly. The middle target was actually 6 inches over to the left. It's supposed to be center to the box and the table. I kind of noticed that when I was doing my setup to try and get more to the left, but trying to grab the gun and reload with the way the box wasn't wasn't conducive to that, so I actually had to stand center of the no shoot. And usually when you're practicing, on a quick draw, you're extending your gun straight out, which is right where the no shoot is. So you'll see here that I actually get a blazing fast time. I actually had the fastest time of everyone, and I hit 2 no shoots that were, one was right on the perf and one was 1 inch over. And if the stage was set up correctly, then I probably would have gotten a high master run on this. But again, you hero zero this stuff for these classifier matches, knowing that I don't want to get an A or a B class run. I'm trying to go for M and GM, and I hit 2 no shoots, and apparently I missed that one completely there somehow. I didn't verify it. I just didn't care because there was the 2 no shoots that basically nullified anything I could have done. So I just proved I didn't care, and not a good way to start the match. The first 2 stages. So then now on the 3rd stage, this is an old one. I think this one's 9907, and another multiple string one. This one's 3 strings, right side, left side, and then either side. And you'll see me kind of doing something weird where I originally was planning on going right, left, right. And I switched that to right, left, left after I shot because I was told you're supposed to shoot the targets in order, left to right. Other videos I've seen on YouTube, people will draw from the right side and go right to left, which is more natural because you draw into the open target and kind of lean and creep into the harder targets, but you're actually supposed to shoot everything, all strings, left to right. So did that. I went a little bit slower than I anticipated. I looked at the hit factor for this for MGM, and I figured probably needed a low 3 to mid 3 plus maybe 4 Charlies to get a master run. And I ended up getting 3 Charlies overall, but my time was slow. It was like 12 point something seconds. And I was kind of, again, disappointed after this one. I think the hit factor on this was in the low 80s. So my first 3 matches, or my first 3 stages on this, basically were not going well. This is the 2nd string, left side. And you'll see after every time, this is something, again, mental you have to get into, is I will verify my mags and the ammo after every string. Actually, that was the 3rd string. I will verify ammo and mags for every string to make sure that I have enough ammo. So, because if you don't and you run out, well, there goes your classifier. So I left the audio on because he's calling up the shots. Video, I basically had the camera and is wobbling, leaving you guys a headache. So I'll post some other stuff later. But basically, the first 3 stages, getting a B class run, zeroing it, and then getting a low 80 were not where I wanted to be in the match mentally. So I'm already 3 stages in, and I'm like, oh man, really got to kick this up a notch. So I got lucky where the next classifier, 2204, is something I had already shot, I think a week or 2 weeks before at another club, and then a week before that at another club. So this is the 3rd club I've shot this classifier at. And the first 2 clubs I shot this at, I shot in production 1 week. Then the next week I shot production and L10. And I got 100% on all 3 runs. So I figured, okay, this is the one where I'm going to get a 90-something% on, because I looked up what my hit factors were from production on limited optics, and it was only around, like a 96 or 97. So even if I got the same runs I did in production, it wasn't a 100% run. But you see me, I'm mentally going through what I need to do, where my mags need to be, getting comfortable. One thing I also did is I took out my, you'll see I took out my optic cap, put it on the thing so I'm not sitting on it. Again, it's something you always want to be very, very comfortable. It's very, very mental. So get your state of mind right where it needs to be. And gun was where I wanted, mags where I wanted. I got out of the chair, I blasted. The one thing that I could have made up time on was after the reload, going into the left target. And so the thing on this stage that my secret is I pick up the gun. As soon as I pick up the gun, I shoot the bottom target, then go right. I shoot the bottom target because gun is coming off the table. It's the open target. As soon as you see it, you're blasting. Then most times you want to shoot left to right, so I shoot right, and then on the reload, obviously, you know, when you reload, your gun is pointed left because you're right-handed. So then I shoot the left target and go right. So I got a 89%, high 89%. And you'll also notice that I have pink eye at this match. So I'm shooting half blind. I was in the ER actually the day before, Friday night. I was in the ER, and nothing was going to stop me from this match. So now I'm on 2201. So this is one of the two movement style stages. This one and 2207 is the next stage. The first two that we did were basically multi-string stages, standing, no movement. The next two were basically draw from a table, shoot targets, no movement, and now we're on the movement stages. When I initially looked at this stage, I had always planned going left corner, right corner, up, and finishing with strong hand only, because that's one of the requirements, is the last three targets must be strong hand only. And I'm actually first up on the stage, and that's one of the things mentally that you have to go into matches, you know, with your planning, is that when you come up with the stage plan, you have to stick with your own stage plan and don't be dissuaded by what other people say. Shooting production for 6 months with a bunch of carry optics people, I'm usually the only production shooter in these matches, that I have to come up with my stage plan and execute it. And basically that's what I did here. And Aaron says, you know, good job right here when I finished, because I was the first pistol shooter he had seen that had broken 10 seconds. I think he said one PCC shooter broke 10 seconds, but not any pistol shooters. And my hit factor was high enough that they knew I was a master, and then I looked it up, I was around 89%. So that's, you know, a good way to recover from after the first few stages. So going to the last stage, 2207, I was actually supposed to be last because I had been first on 2201. And being in the hospital the night before and being on meds and then kind of being dehydrated and being around 3 o'clock, having a long day, I kind of wanted to jump the line. So I ended up jumping the line and not planning to record, just because I just wanted to get out of there. I needed some water. So I didn't get anything on film. But the plan was basically knowing that I had two 89% and a low 80%, and in order to get my average of 85%, I just needed to get like an 81-ish percent, so something average. So I was going to kind of play it safe, where I was going to push myself. I wasn't going to, you know, go for super fast time and possibly, you know, get a mic. So I went safe, and I got around an 81%, and then I ended up finishing the match around 85%. So ended up finishing strong after two stages of basically 1-0 and one mediocre performance. And so that's kind of the match mentality of, you got to like take each stage as it comes and then focus and reevaluate what you need to do to get to your end result for that match. So finished Limited Optics Master after one match, and 2 weeks after the match goes live, I'm the top fifth ranked person in limited optics as of now, and top third master in limited optics as of now. It's going to change, but you know, it's pretty good for not shooting a dot for 6 months, being half blind for the match from being in the ER, and being a production shooter.